Hey guys, welcome to Guap VT, a spin on Money TV. On this episode, I want to talk about relationships. I talk about finances, relationships, and mindset on this channel. But I think it's important, being someone that's been married for 15 years and counting, in a relationship for 18, to give some people some tips on what makes my relationship work, what makes it satisfying for me and for my partner, my best friend. Now, when I say that, understand that no one in any relationship is perfect, because when we come into our situations, we're usually bringing into it past experiences, physical and non-physical. But three things that women need in a man are very important, but they also connect to financial. They speak about physical. So I want to focus on this particular area. It's an age-old question, and that is, why do men cheat? I want to have a different conversation on it and talk about why a man will not cheat. And it doesn't have anything with him being a pushover or a nice guy. There are certain characteristics within that man that will prevent him from going down the road of straying on his partner. First and foremost, the first thing is that man has to be a man who is willing to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, you open yourself up for someone to hurt you. And men, just in our nature, we don't want to be vulnerable. It's very difficult. We may start out in a relationship when it's fun and it's new and it's exciting, and we can let our guard down. But even then, we do it very cautiously. But a man has to be willing to be vulnerable in a relationship, because that's one of the strongest things that anyone can be, especially a man. The vulnerability says, I care for you, I love you, and I commit myself to you. And it's not always easy for men to do that, because we are driven by our physical natures and we're driven by what we see. So a man who will not cheat has committed himself to being vulnerable in a way where he can stay with that one woman physically. And again, it's one of the toughest things, very difficult for a man to do. The second reason why a man will not cheat is that man has a high level of compassion. By that, I mean this. You have to think of it this way. If you're with someone and you say that you care about them, this person is more than just your girlfriend or more than your husband. This person, or more than your wife, this woman is your best friend. Think about how we are with our best friends. We don't want to hurt our best friends. We do. We get into arguments and we go into our silent moments. That's the same thing we do with our partners at times when we have disagreements. But we don't look to hurt our partners, and we think about, or we don't look to hurt our friends. We have to do the same thing as men as it relates to relationships, because I can say from my perspective, and I'm only, again, speaking from a perspective of someone who's been in a relationship for 18 years, and I haven't strayed out of that relationship. I'm not saying that makes me the perfect man, because I'm not perfect. I still have thoughts. I still have impulses. But the reason why I'm able to make this video and to speak to these things is because of the decisions that I've made to overcome certain impulses when they arise, right? So if you have the compassion in you as a man, you're not going to want to hurt your best friend. You're not going to want to hurt that woman you're with, because to hurt you or to hurt them will hurt you, right? And that's a level of compassion. So that man has to be compassionate and say, I wouldn't want this done to me, so I'm not going to do it to them, right? So that's what it really comes down to. You say, is it worth it? Can I hurt this person in a way where it's going to break their heart? Is it worth it? Is that moment of pleasure worth it? Think about it, right? And so the last thing that a man has to have, and that he will have, that he will not cheat, is he has a good level of self-control, right? So people say, well, self-control, but no, that man may be self-disciplined. He may be self-disciplined to do the things necessary to build up his body. If he's an athlete, or if he's a guy who's into building up his career, he may have the discipline to get up, to go to his job, to stay long hours, to work on the weekends, whatever it may be. Again, an athlete, if he needs to train, he's training rain, hail, sleet, snow. That's self-discipline. Self-control is something different. It's you put a good looking woman in front of that person, in front of that male that he finds attractive. And if that woman finds him attractive and they're in each other's space enough, and then it leads to flirtation leads to a conversation, the flirtation and conversation leads to action. Can he overcome that? Does he have the self-control to say, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to remove myself from this situation. I'm going to remove myself from this area because I find this woman attractive and it could lead to something physical. So I need to have some control here and some self-restraint. A lot of males lack self-control physically because they have never been taught that. Whenever they've had the impulse for something that's physical, they act on it. Women are the same way. So it's not just about men. Women do the same thing. But you have to have, as a man, women, if you're looking for someone who's going to be committed and dedicated, you want to look for the man who's going to be vulnerable. You want to look for the man who's going to be compassionate. And you want to look for the man who has self-control. Not self-discipline, but self-control. They're two separate things. Self-discipline is great, but you're looking for a man with self-control. And if you can find those three things, and if that's what you're looking for, and you're willing to give the same thing back in return, then your mission has been accomplished. If anything in this video has touched your heart, if you found any value, like, share, and subscribe, comment. How's your relationships been? What have you been looking for? We'd like to hear about it in the comments. But with that, I'm going to leave you with this. Own your mind, own your money, and own the keys to the bank.